the internet. From last November to now, he released about 8,000 people getting benefit from the treatment Kamal Abu Aida made with the owner in last November. In this treatment, they decided to release the worker with a compensation of 2,000 pounds for every year in the service. But the law of labor said that 2 months of this total salary for every year. So he reduced his compensation maybe to the quarter of what he deserves. Depending on this point, he released about 8,000 people from November until now, because he he brought more modern producing lines, which need only one worker for 3 lines. So he doesn't need all these workers. Condition of the Egypt left is very bad because for 3 years now we don't have until now one left party you could rely on to control the people or get the revolution or get to the authority. Another wave of the revolution came because a lot of diseases of the secret work of the left before the revolution is still controlling them. For example, in my party, I was in Taharruf Shabi, the Socialist Alliance, for a year and a half, and afterward I resigned. The old people control everything. There is no democracy. They were very busy with the organizing paper and something like this, not having contact with people in the street. So there is no events relating to the people with the masses. How are you a lefty part without connecting with the people? How could the people be more aware of their rights if you don't have this contact with them? Unfortunately, there is no left in Egypt. I think it's my personal opinion, but they are not in the streets. The only movement in the street is the social revolutionists. It's a very small movement, but it's very effective in the street. They are all the time. They are lawyers, they are journalists, they are students, but they are all the time with the workers in the factories. Very few members, but they are very effective. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that insight to the Egyptian situation. Kazem was mentioning, about questions from the speakers, question and answers. As I mentioned, there will be a panel discussion and it's a chance for everyone to raise questions. Now I'd like to call and warmly invite Akram Nadir from Iraq, who's going to talk about the situation there. And Akram has also kindly accepted, I forgot to mention, Hoda did, to speak in English. We had planned to have an Arabic translator here, but unfortunately she was taken ill and she could not come. So this was a last-minute cancellation, and we are very thankful for both Hoda and Akram. And as we have seen, both speak very good English, so actually that was good that now they speak in English to the conference. And I'd like just to say a few words about Akram Nadeem. And Akram has been an activist since very early days, since he was a student, and he was one of the participants actually in the mass uprising in Iraqi Kurdistan in March 1991. I'm sure a lot of you remember that uprising. Then he participated in the movement for the establishment of workers' councils in factories and people's councils in popular neighborhoods. And together with other activists, he established a union of unemployed people in Kurdistan in the 1990s. And after the US attack and occupation of Iraq and the fall of the Ba'ath regime, he established, together with his colleagues, the Unemployed Union of Iraq and the other organization, Federation of Workers' Councils and Unions of Iraq, FWCUI. And he is currently vice president of FWCUI. Akram has also been faced prison, actually, like many of the activists, maybe in this room as well, who are familiar with the difficulties of organizing and fighting in those societies. And for 9 times he's been in prison, and twice he's been a victim of abduction and of a failed assassination attempt. So we are very honored to have Akram here to speak to us about the situation in Iraq. Welcome.
Good afternoon again. I would like my speech to be in Arabic much better because we didn't prepare to be in English in prayer. But when they said there is no translator here, it will be difficult. I tried to make some pack all my stuff together. Maybe it's benefit for you guys for the time. But anyway, usually when we speak in a mother language, usually you can control more what you discuss in your mind, and I can send my message clearly much better than what I do now. But I try my best to do whatever I can. I wish something is not clear later with the questionnaire stuff we can answer. Everyone know the situation in Iraq is totally different than all the Middle East. We are experiencing very difficult time even during the Saddam Hussein regime and after Saddam Hussein. For example, many people they ask me what's the situation. I am facing this question every day, maybe 10 times. Or any meeting I go or any international conferences, people facing, they want to know what's the situation in Iraq, why it's happening in Iraq, like the devil is gone, like the best introduced from the one worker, he was working with me, he was from Portugal. He said, I understand with your speech, they took the king, but they bring the Burger King. That's a real situation of Iraq. And we know during Saddam Hussein in Iraq, we had a labor law, but by Saddam Hussein regime, they changed the labor, public secretary of the labor, they changed them to the military secretary. And they changed the name of the labor to employee. They did that like any other dictatorship they can, even they changed the name of the labor class from easy way for them to take all this benefit from the struggling during the revolutionary time of the working class in 1930, 40, 60, like until the Ba'ath regime or nationalist Ba'ath regime, they took the power in Iraq. And we continue that way until 2003, when the United States occupied in Iraq. They destroy everything. Even they didn't let any single situation to stay there, including all the rule and constitution. But they leave the worker law same as before. That means only one benefit may be possible, the working class to get it, to change that labor law, even they didn't change that one. Because it was matched with the same situation as we have right now. For that, we start in the beginning in 2003, before as a working, like what you heard from the comrade here introducing my activity. We start from 1991, uprising of the Kurdish region and the southern region after the first Gulf War. We start to establish, during the uprising, we established the working council of the factory and the neighborhoods. I think all the comrades here, they have, most of them, they have heard about that history better than me, I think, because of the connection we have, especially, much clearer. But we didn't successful that time because we didn't have that much support like we can do now or something like that. And we are being very young activity in that situation. And for the first time, we try to take our hand to something all over the world was talking about the working class have punished back and never again the working class can do anything. But at the same moment, we took our slogan to say working class can take the power, working class can do something to change the balance of that situation. Anyway, we continue that situation until, like what I'm saying, until the occupation of the United States to Iraq area. But we establish the unemployed union of Iraq. But the idea was the same. Really, we don't have any better solution except we demand. We demand to the government. We need that. We need, or even not government, from the occupation of the United States. But that was a good things. We showed the working class have a voice again. But even that time we faced the United States occupation during in front of the Green Zone in 2003. We had 42 days strike in front of the Green Zone. But again, they didn't answer the strike and they didn't do anything. And we saw what happened during the last 12 years until now. We saw the day after day, the Iraqi government was established by the United States, and the ethnic parties, they fight each other. Even the nationalist political parties, they became in power again, even what we saw during a few months ago. We saw the IS became part of the result of that situation. Many people, they said, why the ISIS is coming to Iraq? And they appear like a huge mass. There is no huge mass in Iraq. But during the last 12 years, if there is no any answer to the demand, if there is no answer to the better life for Iraqi people, what do you think is going to be the situation in Iraq? More than 6 million workers of the public sector, most of them they unemployed. Because the first beginning of the situation in Iraq is starting to privatization of all the public sector. Before we know, we have experiences with the Iraqi government as a reform before to make something is changed in our life is to opening the factory and people working in a sector like better than even in the Middle East the Iraqi worker having better lives than other parts of the countries. Most of the workers from Egypt, they came to Iraq to work. Most of the people of Tunisia. And like Iraq was exporting even the teacher, the experienced worker to other countries. But now Iraq is backwarded. We see the situation, how all these Burger Kings doing in Iraq, really. And Iraq became like a good shelter for all spy agencies around the world, from Jamhuri Islami Iran, or from Turkish, or from Syria, from Saudi Arabia. And the situation we see in Iraq, in real, there's a fight between those countries. In real, it's not a fight between the Iraqi people, like what the mass media talk about. The Iraqi kill each other. Like, usually the people asking the same question, why people of Iraq, they kill each other? But my answer usually is like that. I said, just think about it. Iraq had 7,000 years of civilization, of history. The first constitution in the world and the law written by Hammurabi. Why the country like Iraq, after 7,000 years, became like a jungle? Who's behind it? The answer is clear now. That means something is in a political situation behind this, all this mass, what happened in Iraq, those killing each other and people backward to be even, I don't believe in 7,000 years ago, Iraq was worse like now. For that situation, we are facing, like what I said, we are facing the big mass of the big problem, and we're facing the liberalism, new liberal policy of privatization of the oil sector of Iraq. Even they close many factories without any reason. Even like people said, we are exporting even a fruit or grocery from Iran or from Turkish. Some country rich like Iraq have second largest producing of the oil in the world. But now in that kind of situation, we know the best part of Iraq was Kurdistan. And during the last years until now, they lay off 88,000 of workers just in Kurdistan. Sometimes I match Kurdistan with one neighborhood in Cairo. I was in Cairo. I found just in one part is 5 million people living there, just in part of Cairo. But all Kurdistan, they call southern Kurdistan, is always 4 million people live there. They cannot manage it that way, even. That's the best part. They laid off 88,000 workers in private companies just last year. Now, more than 8 months, the workers in a public sector, they don't have even the salary to pay them. Look, imagine if 1 month in those countries, or in any country around the world, they not get paid, what's going to be happen? And we know that right now Kurdistan became like the most safest shelter for the refugee from Iraq, from southern, from Mosul, from those part of Iraq. How it's going to be? It's 4 million people there. I hear from someone from United Nations of the refugee organization. He said it's almost 4 million people live there. 4 million people of refugees live there too. From Iran, from Turkish, from Syria now, even from southern Iraq and other part. For that, we can see we're facing a lot of problems, including that situation. We're facing many kind of like a military rule in Iraq. For example, I didn't do that much problem, but I faced in my experience after, even after Saddam Hussein. I faced 5 times of jail. I faced it 2 times for just someone like me. And including, I was lucky, I have survived, but many people killed, many activists was killed there. For that, we faced it, we found ourselves, even without Saddam Hussein, even including the public secretary. And after that, the privating the companies, it doesn't change anything for, we're facing 2 experiences like what I'm saying. We start to establish the independent unions. Even that doesn't change any face of the situation. For that, what we saw in our experience, even from the comrade from Egypt and Tunisia, they established the union, independent union, but doesn't make any newer or better resolution or solution for the situation in the area. For that, we start to think about new way, what we have to do. I believe the only solution for the working class, we have to think about how we make a strategy, not just in a local. That's why when they call me, I told them, I said, we have some idea about that. We have the same, we're facing this situation for a long time. When they call for making a committee of the solidarity, I said maybe that's little bit less than what we need. But we attended and we established this conference, and we have to think about to make something new. For that, I am strongly, very strongly, I support the idea, but with a good strategy. We just not think about to commit ourselves to say we did something and we go home. Because the working class doesn't need that. There's many thousands of the organization, international organization. They said we are solidarity, strongly solidarity with the worker in Iran, in Iraq, in Egypt, in Tunisia, whatever. But it didn't change anything. Like Amnesty International. They put the number of the killed, who they are killed, but the number getting more and more. Do we need to change or to make another NGO, or we need establish another union to call for solidarity again? That's why before I was, my comment was about the solidarity.